Welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. I'll tell you guys right now, if you like rant videos, this is the video for you. I'm going to tell you right now that the CGC comment army is going to come after me hard after this video. You want to know why? Because I only tell the truth and I only tell things the way it is. I don't know which one we should start with. One, that CGC's grades are hidden behind paywalls, and I'll explain what that means. Or number two, the fact that their website crashed when everybody was trying to get their submissions in. So I guess first off, we'll talk about their website crashing. Everybody knew, I made the video, I let everybody know, April 28th was a very important date because your submissions to CGC, in order to be grandfathered in at the old price structure, needed to be submitted by April 28th. Well, what happened on the 27th? A bunch of people tried to go online, fill out the submission forms, submit their final submission so they could, hit that previous price target. Well, guess what happened? Their website crashed. So what did CGC do? Do you think CGC said, you know what, guys? Listen, we understand. We told you to have your submissions in. You guys were planning on having your submissions in, but due to our negligence and our website failing, we're going to give you guys a little bit of an extension. Do you think that's what they did? No, that's not what they did. They wrote a comment. They pretty much said, well, some people did get their submissions in. All the people that didn't, oh, well, too bad to be you. Oh, but you know what we'll do? We'll extend the amount of time that you can submit your submissions to until, instead of they have to be at CGC mailed to them by May 28th, we'll extend it to June 28th because we understand. No. How about the fact that there was a lot of people were trying to submit their submissions and your website was not accepting them? How about the fact that you told people you were going to give them a week to, have their submissions in, but in fact, because your website crashed, you didn't give them 7 days? What is going on right now, guys? That CGC, this company, which I'm told all the time has amazing customer service. You want to know what I did? I sent 3 submissions to CGC's customer service yesterday. Do you know how many responses I got back? 0. Do you want to know why I sent those submissions? I'll tell you why. Because I wanted to prove to all the people that kept telling me that CGC had good customer service, I just needed to send them just to answer your questions. Only because people kept telling me that. So the only way I could get them to stop saying that is by doing it and sending 3 submissions and getting 0 responses. So finally we could put that to bed, and that's the only reason I sent submissions, just to shut people up. But maybe people will say, oh, well, they were busy. They didn't have enough time to answer all the submissions. Guess what? Maybe the reason that they were busy is because they keep dropping the ball. And if they weren't dropping the ball, maybe they wouldn't have so many customer, questions they have to answer. Or maybe they could do anything. But just think about it, guys. We're constantly being lied to. We're constantly being manipulated. And I'll tell you right now, what a lot of people are going to say? You know what, Poke Knowledge? I've listened to a lot of your videos, and all you are is harsh against CGC. Oh, is that really true? How about the fact that I've sent, over a half dozen submissions to CGC? How is that being harsh on them? How is that not liking them as a grading card company? Because I'm continuing to send submissions back to them. I did a comparison video on the grades, and people said I was being too harsh and that I was just upset because my card didn't get the grade I wanted. Guys, I've already told you, all my submissions I've ever sent to CGC, I've never had a submission returned. That card that I had featured comparing grades was a card that I bought on the secondary market. At what point is it happening that you're not allowed to even compare grades? People kept saying, you should have got subgrades. You should have got subgrades. You should have got subgrades. Stop saying you to me when I didn't, actually grade that card. I bought that card on the secondary market. It's okay, guys, to compare grades of different grading companies. Trust me, it's okay. And if you're not doing that, you're gonna run into a lot of issues for the long term in this hobby, especially when you start to understand the grades of cards. It's very important to do that homework and do that due diligence to actually look at card grades and figure out why cards got what. And guess what? That's part of the fun. So for people to say things like that, it's just, I call it, a little bit of like the CGC comment army, because that's what it is. Guys, I've said in multiple videos that I think one of the best investments you can ever do financially in this hobby, and just from a collector investor standpoint for you personally, is to learn grading skills, to send your cards away for grading. I've told people on multiple occasions to send their cards away for grading, and that includes CGC. And guess what? That hasn't changed. But you guys just have to look at everything, with an open set of eyes. And you need to realize when series of events are happening that are going to be detrimental to you. But sadly, the point of the hobby we're at is you're going to have to take a lot of this stuff in stride. PSA is closed. They're not accepting new submissions to July 1st. When they do open up, we don't really know 100% if they're going to open all their tiers. Yes, the CEO did say that in the newsletter, but that's still to be determined. And right now, if CGC's website was crashing because they were having so many submissions and people weren't even able to upload cards. It was taking people 90 minutes to upload 5 cards. Think about that. You're trying to do a bulk submission of minimum of 50 cards, and it takes you 90 minutes just to input 5 because of how slow their website was going. That's a huge issue in the long term. And the fact that they weren't even willing to extend their, submission deadline by a day or two, because again, it's not the submitter's fault. And sure, you can blame people and say, well, you really shouldn't have waited till the last day to submit your cards. Listen, guys, don't even dare say that. There's a lot of people out there who are constantly buying cards on the secondary market, whether it's eBay or whatever, and they have to wait for cards to be mailed to them in the mail. So maybe they were waiting on some cards and they had no choice but to wait to the day before. So you can't punish people. And if you do think that's a solid excuse because somebody waited till the last second and they should have somehow known better, that's not fair to people. And that just shows that maybe you're not really, at that next level where you constantly have cards coming in and coming out, which is fine. But at least, be mindful of that. Be open to the fact that that could be a fact. But I just want you guys to know that this happened. And that was a reason I didn't have a video put out, because a lot of people were trying to get their final submissions in and scrambling. But it's just the way it is. But at the same time, for CGC to do no kind of compensation whatsoever for those poor people out there, because at the end of the day, what does it really boil down to? It's a financial loss for a lot of these people. Why is it a financial loss? Because the same cards that they want to have graded, even if they wait a day or two later, it's now going to cost them almost double. That's a financial loss, especially when you're talking large submissions. 100, 200, 300 cards. You're talking hundreds to potentially thousands of dollars these people lost due to no fault of their own whatsoever. And shame on you, CGC. Shame on you for, again, scamming and lying to your customers. Oh, I know. I'm so mean to CGC because I just tell you guys how it is. Right now, their turnaround times are still a lie, if you ask me. It's gotta change. They need to be more transparent with their turnaround times. We're still waiting on submissions from the end of December to come back that have just gone to scheduled for grading. Just now, end of December. That's 2020, not 2021, 2020. It's already the end of April 2021. It's been a 4-month timeline on cards that were originally supposed to be 30 business days. We're already well over 80 business days on some of these cards. That's a long time. There's a lack of transparency, especially when their current quote-unquote turnaround times is 144 business days. Please, wait till you see all the submissions that they're going to get in the next week. It's going to be a make-believe number. And you know what? Who knows how long it's going to take CGC to even receive these cards and start inputting them. And if you don't think they're holding your cards back and they're not inputting them right away, this way they could be more true to their turnaround times, you guys are really in for a shock right there too, because that's not the case. You know, they have the ability to input your cards, but they're just waiting because of that. And whatever, you can say what you want, call me a liar, say I hate CGC, all this stuff, with the exception of, again, I've already just recently submitted another submission to them. But again, because I'm just a tough guy and I like to say things the way it is, you're just going to say, like, I don't like CGC. Well, and that's fine. You know, and how about this little tidbit? How about the fact that CGC Perfect 10s are hidden behind a paywall? Yeah, maybe you knew that, maybe you didn't. But if you don't pay for subgrades, which is an extra added value, and now with the new grading scale, it's an extra $10, you are not eligible for a Perfect 10, meaning the highest possible grade you can get without subgrades is a pristine 10. That means that they are hiding their best grade behind a paywall. Do you know how much bullshit that is? Can you imagine if any other grading company like PSA tried to do that? If PSA said, well, you can pay this one price and the highest possible grade you can get is a 9, or you pay extra money and you can get a 10. That's bullshit. I hope you guys understand that them keeping their highest grades behind a paywall is bullshit. And everybody likes to say, CGC, the one good thing about them is they're very consistent with their grades. Let's all say they're very consistent with their grades now, with a huge asterisk. The asterisk being their grades are only consistent at very high scales if you pay more money. You know, that's not fair to the guy grading. And I hate the argument that CGC's putting up too. And the only way, again, you guys said you got to go to CGC's customer service. So what's one way to go to CGC's customer service? You go to CGC's chat boards. Well, how about this right here? Where one of their customer service representative, at least one of their administrators in the chat, and they got that nice green, you know, little symbol next to their name. How about the fact that they're letting people know grading with subgrades takes 3 or 4 times longer. What? What the fuck does that mean? It takes 3 to 4 times longer. How the hell would you be able to get grades otherwise? In order to get an overall grade, if your card gets a 9 or a 9.5, whether they put the subgrades on there or not, there's still a grade assigned to the 4 major categories of corners, edges, surface, and centering. If you do not assign subgrades, it is impossible to get the overall grade. So to say that it takes 3 to 4 times longer, and what was their reasoning? So to examine every card in that level of detail, even those that do not pay for subgrades, is not feasible? What do you mean to examine every card in that level of detail? Are you telling me that you're giving out grades in a level that you don't feel is up to par? What? What am I reading? What world are we in now that was a freaking acceptable answer? That because you're not giving, or sorry, you still have to give subgrades, as I already said, because you can't get that grade. But because your subgrades are not transparent, you don't have to spend a lot of time on that card. What? That is, I hope you guys out there, you understand, you know, that line right there is doing a disservice to everybody. It really is. To say that because we're not being transparent with our subgrades, we don't have to examine your card with as much detail? No, you do have to examine the card with that much detail because people are paying for your service. And I've already said it in other videos, stop telling people because they're paying less money for grades, whether it's bulk or whatever, that somehow they don't deserve the same level of service. And I'm going to tell you again what I've said in other videos. The people paying to have their cards graded are not the ones dictating the price. So stop making it sound like because they're paying less, the quality of service should somehow be less. That's not fair to the people paying for it because, again, they do not dictate the grades. But, God forbid I'm actually out there just saying it how I see it. And a lot of people out there get really upset. But whenever I make a, rant video about PSA, nobody cares. But think about it, How critical was I about PSA when they kept raising their prices and kept raising their turnaround time? Nobody seemed to care then. But as soon as you're a little critical of the CGC, it's the end of the world. But I'll tell you right now, to continue this level of, unethical business actions will not last for the long term. And I do have a lot of faith in CGC. I think if CGC can get their act together, they can definitely be a number 2. Kick Beckett out the way. It's CGC's number 2. But if CGC is going to do this, level of business tactics where they're in a way transparent, that they don't spend a lot of time on your cards because they're not giving these subgrades, is freaking scary. It's scary for this hobby. It's scary for us who are spending our money to have our cards graded by CGC. Again, we're paying for their service, but you're not eligible for the top tier service unless you pay extra for that. I mean, that should be wrong. I hope you guys understand that. That in order to get the best grade for your card, you literally have to pay them more in order for them to give it to you. That is wrong. That is wrong on so many levels. It's a huge disservice to the cards you're having graded, because now throw consistency out the window because it's not a true representation of what that card's real grade is. So the service you were paying for is not true. Maybe that pristine is now a perfect 10, and all you had to do was spend $5 and $7. Now it's $10 for that. That is bullshit. I hope you guys understand that's bullshit. And it's really sad. It's really, really sad. But here we are, guys. It's 2021. And if you dare to say anything against CGC, whether you support them or not, you will be marked maybe a crybaby, salty. I don't know. God forbid you're just labeled as somebody that's telling it like you see it. I understand that could be a huge issue for a lot of people. And honestly, I don't care. You know why? Because the reason this channel exists is to give you guys transparency and give you my thought process. And I don't do it for anything. I do it out of the goodness of my own heart. That's why there's no Patreon. I have no Facebook. I have no Instagram. There's not even an email you could contact me on. The only way you could contact me for this channel is through the comments. And you want to know why? Because when you contact me through the comments, there's an extreme amount of transparency for not just me, not just for you, but for every single person out there listening to this channel. I don't ask you guys for money. I don't even have a link for my eBay store. You don't know my name. You don't know what I look like. You know why? Because I'm doing this channel for you guys. It's not for me. Sure, I enjoy the channel because I enjoy doing this. This is fun for me. And the second this stops being fun will be the second I stop doing these channels. But right now, I'm loving this. I'm having so much fun. It's an amazing time. It's an exciting time. It's been an exciting time. This hobby is fantastic. It's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me in my life, with the exception of my family and my friends. But, as a hobby, I feel so blessed and so lucky to have this hobby in my life. And I love every part of it. But when I see things happening to people, and that's why this channel exists, I've told you, I don't like to see anybody ever getting taken advantage of. I don't care if you're new to this hobby. I don't care if you've been here for a while, if you've been here since day one and you've never left. I don't care. Nobody at any point should ever get taken advantage of. And when that's happening, especially at a large scale like we're seeing, it's a little nerve-wracking. It makes me a little nervous. And, there's a lot of predatory type tendencies out there that a lot of people have. But hey, that's just the truth. And I've told you before, I don't know how to not be truthful with you guys. But hey, anyways, If somehow you've listened to me rant like a maniac for the 1 millionth time and you're still not subscribed to this channel, at this point, I don't know what you're waiting for. But other than that, guys, please hit the like button, and I'll catch you on the next video.